this ideology is already in government. Like I remember I was at like a Wendy's in Pennsylvania or something.
Okay.
And on the wall, like when you walk in on the left, was like their statement of like equal rights and all that, and it included all of this gender ideology and other stuff. And I'm like, that's just weird.
Yeah.
It's like I get it that we don't really have to worry about it. Like it's a fair point to say there's rarely, if ever, a dude walking in the women's bathroom dressed as a woman trying to pretending to be trans or something. If a dude really wanted to go in, they just do it. There's other ways that guys.
That's a good point.
So I think it's a silly argument when they're like, oh no, what if men do these things? Well, what if they do them now? I mean, whatever. But the issue is
they probably do them.
They do, and they probably always done it.
Exactly.
The issue is legal protections, like school programs for women and sports programs for, I should say, females, for biological females.
Right.
So this is where the civil rights are being destroyed by this ideology. So I'll tell you straight up, man.
Women's rights also.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what I mean. Like, but it's civil rights as a whole.
You're right. Yeah.
If you could identify as anything you want, then you can be transracial.
Yep.
And there are people who are actively doing this.
Yep.
And there was, what was it? Brown University allows you to identify as POC if you'd like.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
I
right.
think it was Brown.
It's absolutely nuts.
It's like you just fill in a form like, I am a POC. There you go. And then you can ask for the benefits that come along with it. And I'm like, well, then what? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What did people fight for? Seriously.
I guess the issue is because now you're basically taking away the protections by opening up to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you solve for that. I guess you got to create a special programs for certain individuals, or it can't be done. There's no point at which you can rest and say we've accomplished civil rights, because it's always changing.
Yeah.
Like, so we heard about the slippery slope argument from conservatives 20 years ago. Like, if we enact gay marriage, this is what comes next. Some of these things have come next.
Yeah. Okay.
I mostly don't care about a lot of these things. Like if somebody wants to use the bathroom, it was like,
if they want to identify as a deer, like, okay.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Right.
That's
you
fine.
You do you, boo.
Yeah. Don't power trip.
Exactly.
But there is a fair point about the slippery slope that's come 20 years ago, and it's still here today.
Yeah.
Is about like, will we have to create a new sporting division for deer?
Probably.
If they want to identify as a deer and compete in sports, then yeah, I don't see why not.
And they take like, deer hormones
deer
or
jump
something.
really well, so.
Sure. What about the tiger person? Remember the tiger person that got surgically altered to look like a tiger?
Oh.
No, I must have missed that.
So, yeah.
That was back when I had my blinders on.
Oh gosh.
No, this was this is a famous TV show personality and like well-known figure.
I don't know.
Got like the mouth split, got face tattoos of tiger, and got fake whiskers put in. And I believe was a transgender trans species she tiger.
Wow.
Not exaggerating at all.
Oh man.
Okay.
So do we recognize other?
I have to see this. Hold
yeah,
on.
yeah. Look it up.
Wait, yeah.
So and I mean this with the utmost respect. No disrespect. These are legitimate questions I'm trying to ask. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. I legitimately am curious if otherkin will become protected under the law, because if the law in New York says self-expression is part of the definition of gender identity, then if your self-expression is that you are a dragon lord named Zentheon,
that's pretty cool, actually.
That sounds good.
well, yeah, man. I mean, you want to be a dragon lord, and you get like, you wear a wingsuit and you have a scepter and a helmet, and you walk around saying you are Zentheon, the human form of the Dragonborn, and and that's your name. To what extent do I have to partake? I think it's
I half expected a Skyrim shout.
Foos.
Yeah.
You walk into Starbucks. What can I get you for? What can I get you, sir? Foos, raw. And then the guy's like,
the cup just goes flying off.
Yeah. No. Are you implying the other kid actually has the shout powers? No. But
Dragonkin, yes, maybe.
Dragonborn.
Dragonborn hasn't been proven yet, but maybe.
So I think it was Jordan Peterson who said, to what extent do I have to entertain your? What did he call it?
Where do you draw the line? He didn't call it a fantasy. He was very nice, very accommodating.
Yeah.
But he's like, where does my right to call it like I see it end? Where does it end?
So
where
if we say
begin?
Yeah, basically bordering on freedom of speech. Like where does that end?
Well, that was
because
that's
that's
his point.
what it is.
It
Essentially,
is murky. Yeah. It
Okay.
really is.
Legitimate question, because the argument, and I've heard the answers, and I'll give them to you. The first question is, if you want to identify as something else, and right now, transgender is the thing, they say, well, that literally exists within you, the DNA for this, it's part of being human.
right? But we're also we're related to every animal if you trace it back far
And
enough.
We're
related to a banana.
That's
Interesting
so
point.
We have the same.
Funny you bring
I
that up,
identify
Adam.
as a banana.
Indeed.
Well, so this is the other argument, right? So the argument, the response is, when you say, why would I have to entertain your, identity?
Right.
Why can't I call you what I want? And they say it's respectful. And then they argue, then the next argument was transracialism. Well, the people who are transracial are asking for the exact same thing. They say, oh, well, but they're not really that race.
Wait, so that woman who was the leader of that organization turns out she
Rachel Dolezal.
yeah. She turned out she wasn't actually black.
Yeah.
Blonde.
Well, actually, she identified as black,
Yeah.
She does.
which is actually very true.
And that's what she does.
Yeah.
That's not what she says. She's transracial. And
I was actually making a joke, but
Yeah, I know.
if anybody can if anyone can be a
Ooh.
POC, then what are we supposed? What do we do? Like, there's no more civil rights, right?
It's like getting rid of minorities. I don't
Yeah,
see it,
it is
as that.
erasure.
I don't see that as an issue. I think we're all humans anyway. So
this
it's
is
like, all right. I'm kind of with it.
This is the weird thing that happens then. If you're a social liberal who thinks there really are things we can do to benefit people of like marginalized classes or whatever, you legitimately think so. There's a light approach to it. What's the solution? Class-based issues seems to be the best, solution. It's helping with education and with investments and helping generational wealth and things like that. If you want to destroy civil rights, what do? Make sure everyone has access to every program for every marginalized group. And because what is it saying? When everyone's special, no one will be.
No one is special.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. So that's why it brings me back to the first segment we did about Black Lives Matter. Who benefits the most from everything that's happening? I got to be honest, it's not the left. I mean, if the left's really, their goal is ultra traditional, militaristic government and the removal of civil rights law, it's like, hey, keep going, man. That's not what I'm about.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they're doing. So now, if you think about it, we don't even have a female athletics division anymore. When was that? What was that created?
The female athletic division?
It was probably with like Title IX or something,
recent,
I'd imagine.
yeah.
Or was that? Yeah. So you have a special sporting division for women because women don't do well against men, and then they erase it, and now males are competing against females again. Or I'm sorry, males are just competing and females are being pushed out.
Yeah.
So if we go down that route, look, man, when money's involved, why wouldn't, the female division just be trans athletes? And if that's what society wants, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, eventually all the women are going to be pushed out because they're not physically built like a biological male.
Yeah.
The Olympics are supposedly going to be allowing transgender athletes.
I think that's ridiculous.
And that's going to result in, look, if every country wants the gold, the gold from the Olympics, well, then of course they're going to choose the best path towards victory.
Yeah.
So they're going to seek out the best of the best. And I look at, there's an interesting argument there about basketball.
Okay.
The argument is basketball is disproportionately one race. I think it's disproportionately black.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And disproportionately height advantaged. No one complains about it.
Well, that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
And right, so that's the argument. They say no one complains that there's no rules protecting short people. Do you want to create a short division for basketball where only people for 5'10"?
Do that? Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah,
So-
it is. It's a silly sounding basketball team.
So the argument from them is, in this
You got to
regard,
be under 5 foot to be on our team.
if we don't have the same protection for people who just happen to be too short to play, and you end up with sports that are dominated by people who only are fortunately one body type, it's actually more fair because now think about it. How many people are over, 6'5"? Very, very, very few people.
True.
Right.
So you've created a sport because there's no rules that disproportionately advantages a tiny micro fraction of the population. What's the difference?
You're right.
Well, that's the argument they bring up.
Yeah.
And it's like, do we? You know what they're actually arguing though for, right?
What?
Is degender like equity in sports, in basketball and football? Could you imagine if they actually implemented rules where it's like the NBA teams had to be half female?
Oh boy.
It would basically just be the guys playing against each other for the most part.
You just make the teams a little smaller.
So
Good
look,
fundamentals though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Futurama joke.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know where that argument takes you in the end. I see the point. But there are a lot of sports that don't have these advantages, and you can also point out, Muggsy Bogues in the NBA. What was he, like 5'3"?
Yeah.
We brought him up before, and he's somebody who earned it through merit and ability. But then they just say, like, what's one person out of how many? And so, yeah, NBA just keeps trying to find the best of the best. And if that's the point, then why wouldn't someone find the best of the best for women's sports?
All things.
All things.
Yeah, exactly.
How about all things?
Meritocracy.
So I guess the main issue, though, is men and women can both be very tall. And here's the counter to that. The NBA is comprised of the best physically fit and the best physically applicable of the males and the best physically fit and applicable of the females. We still separate based on gender because of the bell curve for both genders being more, like you're more likely to be like your own biological sex than the other.
Okay.
So we separate for that reason. But the counter argument is, yes, sports choose the best of the best. Your point?
Yeah.
Why we're not going to allow,
Well, if I'm going to watch a sport, I want to see the best of the best compete.
Yeah.
Capitalism, baby.
And so the issue there is watching someone who's biologically male compete against females is not giving you the best of the best for females.
No.
And so you don't get to see the best females in the sport. You get to see the best. You get to see a male who didn't make it or isn't competing in the male division or whatever for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't want to imply that they were doing it to
Right.
But
But
I mean is,
I'm sure that happens though. Man, I'm not the best in the male side, but I can identify as a woman because I already know that I'm better than the best female.
I think
I'm not saying it happens either, but I would not be surprised.
Well, I think,
And I have a feeling a lot more people think that.
there are a few cases where the individuals aren't on any therapies or treatments.
Okay.
That makes me wonder. But it's like 2 of most of the cases we've seen. Most of the cases we've seen where a transgender male athlete beats the females is they're legit transitioning.
Yeah.
And there have been only there's a few instances of people who are really exploiting it. I'm not going to name them because they don't deserve to be named. But
Right.
oh yeah, some nasty people,
Oh, yeah.
nasty people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see a lot of female athletes that are speaking out against it because they're pissed.
Right.
They're like,
Understandably.
how can we compete? This isn't fair. Like
They
we're
can't.
the top of our class and we're being outclassed completely
So
by biological males.
let's
Yeah.
just remove all restrictions for all sport. You're playing basketball, you can have a hockey stick and roller skates and trampolines get thrown on the field. No rules. What are the rules? Who wins? I have no idea. But it looks crazy. Let's just go for it.
That sounds fun,
Anarchy.
actually. I would
Anarchy
do it.
sports, just total chaos.
Calvin
It's a
ball.
field, and we show up and watch people do weird things. And they, for some reason, there's a common theme of throwing balls through other through holes of some sort.
What's that movie we just watched with is it The Hunt?
The Ringer. Oh,
The
Hunt?
Ringer.
No, where they put a box of guns and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
in the
that
Hunt.
was The Hunt.
That's how we'll do sports. We'll just drop a bunch of players on a field, have a box
Full of
and
things.
just
Full of
open it up. And
soccer balls,
there's soccer balls,
footballs,
Yeah.
footballs.
Rugby. Yeah.
And there'll be hoops everywhere, and there'll be goals, and just go, just do it. That'd actually be a funny sport.
That'd be
But you
fun.
gotta understand, people get good at that.
I know that's
Like,
true.
They would figure out which balls to throw. They would have teams. They'd be like, okay, when we go for it,
It'd be like a
we're gonna-
relay.
We'll call
Yeah.
it all ball.
Yeah.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
That's actually a cool game
Kind
idea.
of like it.
You're welcome.
So,
I love
because
it.
think about it this way, you'll have special people who are it's like they're
and
wide
that was,
receivers.
That was the day all ball was born.
All ball. It's a big crate. It just opens up and there's a bunch, and then
like
it's
spring-loaded,
and it's also
everything comes out.
dodgeball.
Yes.
It's also
also
dodge. If you get hit by it, you're done.
Yes.
This is good.
Flying
That'd
out.
actually be a funny game.
Let's keep this going.
Yeah.
We can talk about this later.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.